Okay, so I was like sitting around trying to figure out something to make a video on because I wanted to today. And then literally the greatest thing happened, which is there's a new trailer for a new movie that oh boy. It's called Connected, all right? It's this new Sony Pictures Sony animation movie that the people that made Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, people that made the Lego movie. So they tend to have good movies, but they also are the people that made the Emoji Movie. And this is more closer to that. So this movie is called Connected. And I could tell, like, from whatever thumbnail I saw from whoever, it's about these people and their phones. And that's the plot of the movie. So they're like, hey, kids, they're on their phones, am I right? So I was like, okay, this is going to be very dumb. I'm going to click in and watch it. And so this trailer, so this movie, it starts with this dad that's, like, looking at his old, like, family videos from, like, 2005, 2007 is what the dates on them are. Which, like, this one here, it says 2009. Which is, my issue is, 2009, nobody was taking, like, big camcorder home videos anymore. By 2009, those were gone. So, slight issue there, but it's whatever. But, it's this whole, like, oh, I used to be, like, me and my daughter were, like, so connected or whatever, and now she has a phone, so now I can't relate to my kid because they don't talk to humans anymore. The whole dad thing of, like, you kids on the phones all the time. And to be fair, this kid, I guess she is. And he's trying to talk to her in the store, and she, like, instead of looking at him and talking to him, she, like, holds up her phone, and it's this Snapchat filter over him. It's just, like, so the most, like, they're trying to sell it real hard on, like, yeah, see, these kids have their phones, so they can't even have a real conversation. They only see it through they only have conversation through their phone. Because that's how Snapchat filters work, is you hold it up and you have a conversation with the person while you're talking to them. Because, sure. And so, anyways, this girl is getting ready to go to college, and she's super pumped or whatever. So she's like, hey, Dad, I'm out of here, because I don't want to be here anymore, because you're always yelling at me about being on my phone. And so they're at, like, their last family whatever. And they're, like, sitting there, and then the dad's like, hey, I have an idea. Let's just have 10 seconds of family eye contact. Because that's, like, the movie dad thing on, like, look at those kids. They can't be off of their phones for 10 seconds. And, like, they play it up to where these kids are, like, these kids cannot deal with it. Like, they can't go 10 seconds without their phones. Because that's how the kids are. They can't be off of their phones. And then she's like, hey, I made this cool video for you guys for my last day before I go to college. Like, I made a video for you. And the dad's like, well, you're always on the phone, so we can't do that. Let's just have a conversation instead. I don't want to see the thing you made. And so she's like, all right, well then, see you later. And so he's like, no, I want to see it or whatever. And so then they end up breaking her computer or whatever. And then she's like, all right, this is why I hate you, and this is why I'm so happy to go and leave for college. And so this daughter that just said, like, hey, I'm ready to get out of here. I'm already on my way out tomorrow, so, like, just let me leave. The dad's like, I have this great idea, because I'm going to win her back right before she moves away for, like, a long time. And so what happens is he's like, hey, I canceled your plane ticket to college, so that instead of that, we're going to go on a family road trip to your college. Which I don't know where they're supposed to be living and where she's going to college. Because they're packing for, like, days. A family road trip should not take days. Every year I live in Kansas, and I drive all the way to Michigan to hang out with my cousins every year. We do that in one day. and that's halfway across the country. So even if they're on the East Coast going to a school in California, like, that's 2 days at most, but they're packing for like a week camping trip or whatever. They're overpacking. This dad is going to make this trip as long and miserable as possible. And he's just like, hey, we're going to have our family road trip. And we'll, get reconnected without our phones. And then they're just on this road trip. And then she's making a video. And the only issue I have with her, like, she's filming their family vacation. And I'll probably put it up here so you can see. But they still have, like, that VHS, like, family video type thing over it. But that's not how phones work now. Phones don't have the battery on them, and she's not using her camera. It shows her using her phone, but then it shows the UI of a VHS recorder. But, there's apps that you can get to do that, but that's definitely not what she's doing, but that's okay. And so, then she's, like, making a video or whatever to make fun of her dad throughout this, and they're going on their trip. So, it's this movie about a family trip that he's winning his daughter back because they're so connected to their phones, but now they're going to get a real connection with their family. And that's what this movie's about, right? Well, then we get to the second half of this trailer. Okay, so we get to this part of the trailer. And they're like, hey, we're watching this press conference from, like, the Apple equivalent or whatever. It's called PAL. So they're like, there's a PAL press conference happening that we're watching on our phones. And they're like, we're announcing these new helper robots. Because, tech is really evolving because everybody's on their phones. And then the guy at the press conference is like, definitely these robots will not turn evil. Then the robots, like, look at each other and nod or whatever. And then they start flying. And can I mention, beforehand, we had, like, My Girl, the old classic song that everyone knows. We've had that playing over this entire thing, because they're setting up this movie as this movie about a dad and wanting to reconnect with his daughter, which is a good message. They're just overselling all the things. But, so it's, the song fits with dad, the daughter, and then we swap to Panic at the Disco as these robots that they just built start invading the Earth. And so now this movie turns into robots are taking over the planet, and this family that's on the road trip is somehow the only people that can deal with it. And so instead of this family road trip movie, it's a good thing they packed for way longer than they needed. Because now it's robots are taking over the planet. And they're like, oh, we can... all of our machines are turning against us. And they're like taking over Paris and... like, in New York City. And now robots are ruling the world. And this family is the only people... I have no idea. This movie has been through the trailer, and I've already seen 2 different films. And it's so confusing. And then they just keep going on. These robots are taking over the world, and they're like, yup. And, yeah, this family is just like, but she has, like, a sword now? Like a laser sword or something? It's just this big explosions, and they're reconnecting as a family, I guess. But it's because the robots have taken over the Earth. I don't know. This movie has no vision. Real quick, I guess I'll say a couple of different things. Like, this movie comes out in September, so it has a release date. It's gonna happen. And then, like, general art style of this movie, I can't tell if it's good or if it's really bad. It's on the line, and I haven't decided yet. But I don't know. I can't decide whether this is a good... It's different. It's like it's the animation style is Spider-Verse, but, like, without the comic filter or anything over it. So it's, like, supposed to look like real... Yeah, it's just, like, the comic look, but without any of the comic stuff. I don't know. I don't get this movie. again, the art style confuses me, but then just this plot of the movie where it's like, hey, we're gonna take a family road trip to reconnect out of our devices, which is like, that's a good, like, what the executives at Sony are gonna be making a movie about, because they're all, old dads. And they're like, hey, we're gonna, because the kids, they're always on their phones, so we're gonna teach them to not be. But then, halfway through the trailer, and I'm assuming like halfway through the movie, like the new kids enter in the board press room and they're like, hey, no. Instead, this movie is gonna be robots take over the world. And then maybe at the end of the movie, they're like, see, that's why you shouldn't have been on that phone. Because you were on that phone, and that's why now the world's got taken over. And then they, like, break all the robots, and then, like, they break all their phones, and so now we're in a new world with no phones. It's probably how this movie is gonna end. I don't know. It is so confusing, but I love it. And I think I have to go watch this movie opening day. So I'm gonna follow this movie, track it down. This is one of the dumbest. There are like lots of trailers for dumb animated movies that come out and like nobody sees them and like you forget about them immediately. This is like the most one of those that I have ever seen. It is so dumb. It's so stupid. And I love it. If it turns out to be good, that's gonna be crazy. That'll be awesome. So yeah, I'll follow this movie up until it releases in theaters, and then I'll go watch this movie like opening day or as soon as I can. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. So this was fun. I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about. Go watch the trailer if you didn't. You probably got enough of it here. But yeah, alright. See you guys.